Record?
Maybe you should
No.
do more content. I think people would love your content.
I think so too. Thank you for saying that.
And I think the biggest problem with social media is that there's just so much bullshit. So much nonsense bullshit, which is like full of everyone's page. But if you post like healthy stuff, whatever you do, like breath a spirit, like inspire people, then it's like a completely different story, right? But I don't know what people do, like some bullshit cat videos or like it's just full of nonsense bullshit, which is like doom scrolling. That's the problem. It's not like social media itself, in my opinion, because if we would share the good parts of whatever, like health advices and whatever, it could be fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
But
It's like it's easy to call something bad completely.
yeah,
But even like as our retreat, even pain. But like there's the goodness in there, and if you can find it, that's the key. I'm super interested in where you came from.
where I came from.
Yeah.
Wow.
How you ended up here. How you ended up in the place where you were when the retreat started.
Yeah.
Like, give me like a 2 or 3 minute at least backstory of who you are, where you came from, and how you ended up in that spot here in Pachamama.
So my name is Erik. I'm 28 years old, from Germany. I live in Berlin, and I got into traveling in general like last year. Yeah, I was actually planning to go to Australia most of the time last year. And something shifted in me at the beginning of this year, and a good friend of mine was here last year, and I remembered him like mentioning it, and I felt like, okay, I should ask him again about Pachamama. So he had combined like a few things which I wanted to try, like medicine, community life, and like the possibility of workshops. So I said, I will go here. And I arrived here, and I cannot lie, I struggled a lot with the energy here, but also just with myself, with my all the emotions I suppressed back home. And here, like, suddenly it's quiet and it rises up everything, so just overwhelmed me at the beginning. And then it started to get like physical pain. I had a pinched nerve and everything. I was like, what is going on here? And yeah, we started the retreat, and
I want to cut in because I have questions before we go to the next stage. So I'm always very curious because I really want to understand like pain, what it is, right? And so you said some things right there, like it was quiet enough that all of a sudden this stuff came up. I feel like in our world of doom scrolling, stimulants, addictions, do you know what I mean? The pace of it,
yes,
that often we don't get the opportunity to feel. And I really think that like it's like loading, it's like consuming, right? Without taking
that's
a
what
dump.
I exactly was doing back home. I was like, I had a screen time like 5-6 hours a day on my phone, which is a lot. Now it's like 1 hour, and like mostly it's like music, answering a few messages, that's it. Of course, addictions, I went a lot partying in clubs. So I was just distracting myself. I was not really feeling myself in a way. I was as well like using food for distraction was also a big thing for me. Like just over consuming food in a way, and as well sugar.
Yeah.
Not doing really healthy stuff. I did some sports. Sometimes I went jogging or something, but like for my mental health, or barely.
So to stay on this just for a little bit longer, so we all do it, and I can't believe how much food I eat when I'm back home. Like I haven't eaten today yet, and I'm fine. And I think it's because most of us don't like the symptoms of detox. I'm convinced that most of us have never even felt hunger. We don't even know what it feels like. Not once have we ever even touched it in our whole life.
Yeah.
But like we begin to feel like whatever, our liver hurts a little bit, or growling in our stomach, and we're like, oh, I'm hungry. So we put more on so that like even the body can't detox. And so as you quit eating so much, quit consuming so much, some emotions came up. Are you willing to share what those emotions or those pains were?
Mhm. For me, it was mostly in the beginning anger. Really, a lot of anger I carried with me, and it was like stuck in my lower belly, lower back. All this energy was stuck there, and it was really like forcing me down to like in a weird position as well, because it was suppressing it so hard. And then I slowly could like open it up with breath work and dynamic meditation as well.
So let's
And,
let's enter right there. You were feeling anger, and it manifests as a contraction in your lower abdomen and your
Yeah.
lower back.
Exactly. That was what I was feeling the most.
And what were you? Were you pointing the anger at something? Like, was your
Yeah.
mind attaching this anger to a
Yeah.
concept?
It's more like people. People.
Just getting pissed off at people easily?
No, it's like my mother and my ex-girlfriend, because like they have similar roles in my mind, which I had like I didn't forgive them what they did to me. So it was a lot of time. It was just sadness, but then somehow anger came up. For the last month, I was really like angry for a month, and I wasn't really able to deal with the anger. It was all the time there. I could feel it, but it felt like I don't have enough tools or power to deal with it. So I was just like suppressing it, because that's what I learned is the easiest way to deal with emotions, right? But at some point there is no way anymore to do that, because it's
No, they
your
find a
life.
way out.
Yeah, you don't enjoy life. You are like in a survival mode most of the time. It's not really joy or something. Yeah.
And I personally think that anger is a really powerful emotion. Like sadness, apathy, there's not much you can do about that. Like, you know, a depressed person, they don't even want to get out of bed. There's a lot of energy behind anger,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
agree.
And if you can use that energy and either turn it into an action, like I'm going to call you, I have this righteous anger, I'm going to use it. Like there's a lot of power there to be accessed.
Absolutely.
And
It's
go ahead.
you can, of course, if you're angry at some person as well or something, you can still express anger and not harming others, right? And this is, I think, really powerful. And even though I could release it now, I have more energy, because like all my energy went for like suppressing my emotions, and I was so tired all the time, because this takes so much energy from you. And then if you finally can release something, you're way more active and alive.
And then you, what made you make the decision? Because the retreat wasn't cheap, as you said. You're a traveling guy. What made you make the decision? Like, what was the moment where you're like, I'm doing this? Did you hear something, or what was it that grabbed your attention?
Actually, it is funny, because I thought my knee, because I had a couple of knee surgeries already and 3 ACL injuries, which is like, since the first surgeries I started to have like disbalance in my body, and I thought like the retreat would address this and help me more to deal with that. And in the end of the day, it didn't really. But the knee wasn't the problem. It was my mindset and my stuck emotions. That was the problem. But my body, it's, yeah. What can I say? It's so funny, because you address it all the time. It is, when you have pain, you are rejecting the pain instead of like welcoming it, and because your body just wants to tell you something. And yeah.
had a moment once doing Ho'oponopono
Yeah.
in a retreat where all of a sudden, like, it really hit me in a real way.
Really.
That my body is trying. Like, even the pain, like, my body's just, it's doing its fucking best, man. And, like, when I'd be like, whatever, I have a bad foot, and I'd be like, oh, this stupid foot, it's always hurting me. And then I realized, like, my foot is, like, giving 100% of what it can do, and the pain is just, like, begging me to listen. And, like, it shifted how I looked at it. And I remember crying, just, like, realizing, like, wow, I'm so grateful for my body, and literally, like, thanking the pain. And one of my teachers, David Hawkins, who we talked about a lot in these layers of density, says, like, one of the first steps is simply to feel it. Like, actually accept more. Like, if your knee hurts, do you know what I mean? Like, listen more, and, like, really let it come through you.
The thing is, like, my knee doesn't really hurt anymore. It's more like that other areas in my body started to hurt more. So in my mind I was like, okay, because of the knee it causes me this pain, but maybe I was totally wrong all the time, you know. Probably.
This is, thank you for saying that. Like, I do think that most things that we think, like, the mind must create stories around things to make, like, life somehow make sense. And I think most times, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, somebody who's suffering from whatever, broken heart, wants to become a millionaire because they think that other people will want them or think they're great, but like, really, like, that's not the solution. And I feel like one of the best things that we can do is to have what we're going for occur, just so you can figure out that it wasn't the solution. Do you know, a lot of people spend their whole life wanting something.
Yeah.
Maybe they get it, maybe they don't. Maybe they get it right before they die, like retirement, and then and then all of a sudden they're home and their wife's screaming at them and they just rather have a heart attack.
Yeah. What I heard quite often is, like, people, like, they are, like, close to die, then they realize that they spent their whole life, like, completely.
Thank God you're figuring this out at 28 years old.
Yeah.
So then I want to, if you're willing, we're in the retreat.
Yeah.
I could tell that you were stressed.
Mm-hmm.
I could just see,
Totally.
You can look at people and you're like, okay, this person's going through something. And then the first morning, one of the things that I have connected to dysfunction at all layers, because this is what I found, is that when we're in any level of suffering, the ability of our tissues to expand fully and then relax fully is stuck.
Yeah.
And that basically is our breath, because our breath is what's expanding and relaxing. And I love calling it frozen breath. And one of the things that I realized years ago when I was in a really stressful state is I had this pain in my chest, and I took this deep breath in, and I just tried to stretch my chest open, and I was in the bathroom, and I passed out. I hit the floor, and when I woke up, I didn't know what happened. And, like, it sent me in a whole thought process. Like, what just happened? What is this? It's my diaphragm. And the first morning, in one of the movements, please tell.
Please tell, yeah. I passed out.
Yeah, but what happened? You took
I
a deep breath in.
I just tried to follow your guideline.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was following it, and I didn't really see it coming. I knew that as well my diaphragm and, like, my chest is closed, but I didn't expect it that it happened so fast, and from one to another second I passed out as well.
And we were doing an upward dog movement while holding your breath, opening the chest. And I watched you. You dropped and you lost touch of consciousness completely.
Completely, yeah.
And
I came back, and it felt like I was gone, really. And I had no clue in the first second where I was. The first thing I realized is my face hurts.
there's blood coming down?
Yeah, that was the second thing. I touched my face, and I was like, where? And then I was looking around, and then I realized, okay, I'm here in Pachamama, I passed out. And then, yeah, I had a little bit pain for an hour or something, or like during the day a bit, but then it was good again. But yeah, it was like as well a big sign, like how close I was or I am, that that can happen, right? Because it seems like for every other people around us was not that big deal. So
And so, in the 3 days, I saw you shedding layers.
yeah,
And as you were shedding layers, and I'm really curious what that means to you, what that story or physical. But as you started shedding layers, I just saw this like very genuine, like beautiful person, and I love looking at people's eyes. I study faces, how well people can breathe through the nose, like the eyes, and you can see people, especially here in Costa Rica. There's just light coming off people's eyes. There's joy.
Yeah.
There's goodness. And when someone's sad, it's just like there's like, I don't know, I can't even describe it, but like there's a shift in their face. It's more sunken. And I saw your eyes light up over the 3 days.
yeah.
And so my
100%.
first question is like, can you put words to what let go and when and how it let go? Maybe some of the things we did on retreat or things, realizations that you came to?
So I think like one part was like your adjustments, which like help to like energy can flow more in myself. But actually after the first day I had more pain. So on the second day I was really like suffering. I was like, why? Because I had all the time lower back pain, and then I had a pain more like in the middle of my back. I was like, why now this? And I think on the second day the breathwork session really was one of the keys to like finally get the energy moving. And I don't know, I think I was the person who was screaming the most. And actually it just felt for me that I coming back to my real self in a way. And before I was just not really myself. I had like a mind fuck, I would say. I was totally like, I was also judging the other people in the retreat. I was like, I don't want to hang out with them, I just want to go and rest. I was really just like not enjoying life, and that was what I had in my mind. And then this day was still like hard in a way, but I realized, okay, there's something changing slowly. And then yeah, on the third day it feels like I just can open up my heart as well, and then there was more energy, and it's really hard to put it in words what exactly happened. But
So I'm gonna try, because I'm really always genuinely interested. So
Yeah.
first, bring me to the breath work.
yeah,
I saw you going through deep emotion. If you're willing to share, you don't have to, what that emotion was, and did you change perspective around the emotion, or did you feel something physically open during the breath work?
yeah, I felt my body, especially like the hip area, was like wanted to move the energy and like letting it go. So I felt for sure like physically I felt it a lot. But of course, like when you are in breathwork, there's not so many thoughts. I was just really focusing on the breathwork journey. And normally I'm really a person that like cares about like others and everything. But I was like, fuck it, I'm tired of myself. I go all in, and yeah. I don't know what to say.
So, like, this is a really good experiment. Like, you're holding anger, you feel it in your low back, you're doing breath work, like, fuck it, I'm going all in.
Yeah.
You feel it, because I could tell you're going through something kind of heavy.
The thing is, the realizations came afterwards, not during it.
That's okay.
Mostly.
And I'm interested, like, how did you reframe this in your mind that makes you feel okay? Like, call it a realization or a reframing or a perspective change.
Yes, it was for sure a perspective change. Like my how I see it is like when you have these emotions, they change um, how you think, like which thoughts are coming up. So if you release the emotions, your thoughts they just change by itself because they don't have to deal with the energy anymore, and you're just wow, life is good, and I don't know. Then I didn't judge myself or the others anymore. It was just nice to be around them, you know. It's sometimes it's not like big things, big realizations. It was really gentle in a way.
I always find this, like we think that like it's gonna be this like God moment, like we have to die and come back, and
Yeah.
like the angels have to come in front of us. But usually it's way more subtle than that. It's just all of a sudden like there's this like where there was like anger, it's gone and almost like you can't even remember it, and it's replaced by joy or okayness or
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
humor. I also, to add to that, I love your perspective because, yeah, emotions and thoughts go together. Like you can't, and I also think the physical body, right? So, like the low back that was contracted, like that was also part of it. And
100%.
And the deepest healing I witness is where people let go of the physical, the emotions around that, and the thoughts. And if you can let go of those three things, like there's no way it can like hang on.
Yeah.
Of all the treatments that you received, obviously the breath work, but other than the breath work, anything else that you received that was like very impactful that you were surprised by, like the light or cacao or like being
Yeah.
pulled in all directions?
Yeah. I mean the light therapy, I don't know how you want to call it, and the sound healing was really lovely and I enjoyed it as much, but for me the most important stuff was like the cacao ceremonies, and especially like the sharing that everybody was. I really struggled with spelling out this word, vulnerable.
Yes.
And I think that was for me the hugest part, because it was the first workshop retreat thing I ever did in my life, and for me it's normally really hard to open up, even like in front of my friends, but doing it with strangers in a way, I mean, I don't feel these are strangers anymore. It feels like, or it felt like last week it was we are a family, you know, because everybody was just showing raw emotions. That was what made it so special to me, because I realized, okay, I'm safe to express it, to point it, to it's okay. I'm not wrong. I'm not too much. I'm okay. We are here in a safe space, and yeah, thank you for creating it. Really.
I
And,
kind of want to make a joke,
Yeah.
which is not true. I want to be like, well, you are too much, but in the best of ways.
Yeah, the thing.
These big personalities like you and like Lindsay, like I love these like enigmas personally.
The thing is that like when I am too much is more like a thing from the childhood,
Yeah.
that you like you're present, you feel like you are too much, even though people enjoying your company, but it's still like in your mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that really helped me to just like a really huge step out of my comfort zone, I think. And yeah, the ceremony on the river was, I think, yeah, I was so into it, and I was like, I don't know, I felt so connected to everybody, and I was.
So I'm pretty proud of this ceremony because I dreamed it up. I don't know anyone else in the world who does this, and I paid a guy to sew up the straps. You know, the one that goes to the pelvis, the one that goes to the head, and then in a sound journey, I had this idea like, what if we did it from every direction? And I started experimenting with it, and it's still in its infancy, but I don't know what it is. Something's happening when 6 people pull you from 6 directions, and I'm really curious because I don't want to frame it, but I'm going to frame it a little bit. I found that when I experience this, if I hang on at all, like I tighten up, because you're being stretched. And if I tighten, like not only does it kind of hurt, but also I'm really scared, and it takes so much courage to relax, knowing that you're gonna be open. Were you able to, as you're being pulled, to like relax your lower back and like allow
I
it to
tried
happen?
to, but I don't think I could fully relax. But it is okay. It was still amazing.
What happened the second like you were pulled?
I just started to laugh. You know? It was just like joy coming back to my life. It was so simple. I was like so stressed out, and just enjoy your life.
I think that's a really good almost way to end it. But I want to ask you, now that you are connected with that beautiful emotion, and that's like simple truths. I heard Scott say once, like he had this big moment, and he came to me and he was like, I figured it out. I'm like, tell me. He's like, there's nothing to figure out. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And you know, like just enjoy your life. It's like so basic, but like if you believe it and accept it and like live it, fuck, it's so profound.
Yeah.
And I think planning can be also a way of taking us away from the moment. But how are you enjoying your life right now?
So much. So much. I have energy. I have like joy. I want to connect. I want to have conversations. I want to do exercise. I want to breathe. Breathe. And what I also want to say is like the last day, and when everybody stood up and speaking about their desires out loudly in front of other people, I think this is also really, really powerful.
And what did you say in front of everyone?
I said I want to have more. I want to follow my passion, which is like I want to put more awareness about mushrooms in general, not psilocybin mushrooms, but also different mushrooms which can benefit a lot of people in different states to just upgrade your life in a way, but also for like people who struggle with mental illnesses. I think it can be really powerful. You don't have to do like every time a big journey, but microdosing, I think it could be like a good replacement for all the chemicals people get. And I think so many people are, I don't know if it's an addiction, right? If you do it for years, basically
I don't
like
think you can get addicted to
antidepressant.
mushrooms. Are you talking about antidepressants?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they tell people like on antidepressants, you can never go off this.
Yeah.
I had a guy in my last retreat, and he showed up at the retreat and they lost his bag, and his antidepressants were in the bag, and he was on a high dose, and it was like, okay, here we go, and we did all the same stuff, and to this day he hasn't taken another antidepressant.
Wow.
And I think there's such better ways, like all of those numb, like life is happening but you're not really engaged.
Yeah.
Whereas like mushrooms, I feel like bring it so much in your face, you know, life, that I don't, you almost have to deal with it. The thing that you don't deal with.
If you do like a proper dose, 100%.
You know, I went to the hospital once on mushrooms.
Wow.
I called the ambulance. Swear to God, they came to the house. They said, I think you're fine. I'm like, no, I'm definitely not fine. I'm dying. They took me to the hospital. I was like kind of freaking out. They strapped me down. I was completely out of it. When I finally came to, I'm laying in the middle of the emergency room. There's like 20 people surrounding me. It was during COVID. And so I look around and like there's just zombies everywhere. And I could see all the hospital workers. There's zero light coming out of their eyes. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I could kind of see the whole scene. Wow. They put me in this room by myself, told me they wanted to do blood work on me. And then at 3 in the morning, like I didn't have insurance, and they're like, you need to leave. I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I don't have any shoes. I don't have a wallet. Anyways, but the whole story was, at the end, you would call that, if there's such a thing as a bad trip, this is a bad trip. And
Yeah.
even the next day, I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to feel like how much trauma and stress I was holding. And it all came up at once, and I felt it to the point where I really thought I was dying. But then I was able to move past it.
Oh, that's impressive. Sorry. But that shows, like, in the American dream, they say at 3 a.m. in the morning you have to leave the hospital. That would never happen in Germany, to be honest.
Well, yeah.
So I think, like, if people struggle with psychosis or whatever, really deep depressions, they shouldn't do like a proper dose of psilocybin mushrooms, you know. But if you start, like, instead of antidepressants, you start with a low dosage of psilocybin or whatever other mushrooms which also can help, I think it's a wonderful replacement.
So here's a big question for you.
Yeah.
Are you working with people on
Not
this?
now.
Why don't we begin this? Because I also feel that doing microdoses, and you don't have to work with me, but like, and I would love to be your first client, but like, you stood up and you said, I want to work with this.
Yeah.
And so like, really like putting into place, sometimes like even working with like one person, I'm going to send this video out to every single person in our retreat, and also I'm going to post it out there. And so if people want to work with you using mushrooms, is that something you're open to?
Of course. That's my passion. I love to speak about it. I spoke with so many people, and I can feel there's a lot of people who actually want to try it, but they're so scared of it. Some of them, they're just not open because they want to be stuck in life, you know. I don't know, but yeah, I was not really following it. It was like a dream, I would say, first, and then I started to do something, but it didn't really work out. And yeah, but now I'm starting the next try. So
if you want to look in the camera, if you want to work with Erik, his details will be attached.
Thank you.
And then you can maybe help some people
Yes,
who are
especially
stuck.
if you are in Europe or Berlin, that would be perfect. But I think it's also possible to do it online, probably.
I really enjoyed this, all of it, even this conversation.
Same. And yeah, I feel so grateful, and I think the retreat was just like the beginning for me, because it's now 1 week till it ends, right? And it doesn't stop the process and the releasing. It's just like, now the anger is gone, now I have finally access to the sadness, which is also there, and I could finally cry again, which, like, I couldn't cry. It was, all the anger was like, there was no place for sadness. And now love as well is coming up, because there was just anger. Now like sadness and love, it's like a new layer is coming which wants to be seen as well. And yeah.
And I don't think we could, and I think this is important, like a lot of people have these retreats and they have these openings and they feel love or less pain and they think, I made it, right? And then they go back and like I think all this is really doing is just like reconnecting us with the ability to play with life, and we're gonna go through the whole range of emotions. But I think the set point, if we can just keep coming back to like joy, opposed to, you know, some of the other ones, that's all that matters. Sometimes we're really high in love, bliss. Sometimes we're dropped down and whatever.
I think like a retreat or like mushrooms or whatever, a psychedelic trip, is just a tool for you. You still have to do the work. And
it's no work, it's just play. You still have to play.
Yeah. I like that. I like that more than working, yeah.
Yeah, fuck work.
I agree.
And like it doesn't end, but I don't know, I'm 45. You were having all these realizations younger than me. Like I did my first mushroom trip at like 35.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I came down to Pachamama 9 years ago, so I was like 36. And that's when I first started to like put these ideas in place.
Wow.
And I'm gonna be 46 next month, and I feel like I have my whole life out of me. And so I think the point of a retreat, the point of a mushroom trip, it just changes our destination a little bit from a new perspective. But we still get, like you said, we still got to go.
Yeah. 100%.
Any close? I think that was the closing remark. But any last closing remarks?
Thank you. Thank you. And you are really a nice person. Yeah, it was nice spending time with you here as well on the trans night. That was also really cool. And at the end of the day, what I realized as well is I kind of put a wall between us, or put you higher because you were like the healer, the person who was hosting the retreat. But then I realized you are a normal person than anybody else, you know? So yeah, that's it, I guess.
I like taking both sides on things. Yes, thank you. And also, I'm not normal. I'm not like everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Just like you.
Exactly.
You're special.
You too.
Awesome. Let's go get a smoothie.
Yes.